Hi, supporters of Minneapolis Public Schools. My name is Heather. Here's what happened at this week's school board meeting. So first of all, I want to share that at this week's school board meeting, there were 2 board members absent. Director Elamine had a death in her family, and while she has been a dedicated school board member, she was unable to make this meeting. Director Ferriari also missed this meeting and the last several meetings, and so far, we have not been given an explanation about what that reason is or what her status as a school board member is. The other thing of background that can help you to know is that the school board does not meet in the month of July, but they did have 2 longer retreat type meetings this summer in which they were going to talk about school transformation. Some folks are asking them to use the word school closures at this point. And also they were talking about the upcoming budget crisis, or the impending sort of carrying forward budget crisis. So for those of you who don't know, Minneapolis Public Schools voted on a budget, the school board voted on a budget to use $55 million from our savings account of one-time money in order to get through this school year. And so as they plan for next school year, they will not have that one-time money and will be feeling those cuts. So those are some things that they have to wrestle with that over the summer in those meetings that were facilitated by folks. I didn't really hear them come to a resolution or a clear way forward, but those are things that they were discussing. And then as far as this week's school board meeting, there really wasn't an agenda. There was no board book. There was a lot of public comment, teachers talking about concerns for large class sizes. There was, the consent agenda where a school board votes on very typical contracts. And then Director Emmerich asked to have an item added to the agenda. So in December of 2023, this school board voted on a referendum, or I can't think of exactly the word, but we have to get going on the school transformation process. And they had 4 or 5 parts to it. They talked about, one of those parts was talking about a site survey. So they wanted folks to go through our district building by building to say, what do we have? What does each building have? What do we use? What do we not use? And they voted that they wanted the school district to do that, right? And so since then, we haven't really heard any details about what that process is going to look like. We know that they're getting ready to start those in a couple of weeks. But Director Emmerich wanted to add an item to the agenda last night to talk about those site surveys, because while we're doing the surveys, I don't know that the board has given the district, what are you looking for on these surveys, right? So what kinds of information are you going to be gathering? This is a really big process. And so Director Emmerich asked, can I add this? And there was a vote, and 3 board members voted that they wanted to add it and discuss it. That was Director Emmerich, Director Abji, and Director Cerrillo. 4 board members voted against that. And so that item was not added to the agenda, and we were done. So it was the earliest I've ever left a school board meeting in Minneapolis Public Schools, about 10 to 7. It does seem like we have a lot of really important decisions to talk about, and a board that maybe hasn't had a clear line about which direction we're heading. So it did surprise me. Maybe we'll have a longer meeting in a couple of weeks and we'll get to talk about some of those things. So we'll be here to update you on what they talk about and what they decide in a couple of weeks with the Committee of the Whole. Thanks so much for listening.